Welcome to the next round, my party people. Anderson here, your math coach. And what we're getting into now is, again, a follow-up for Law of Exponents, getting into those more complicated problems. So in this video, we're going to be mixing two ideas, and those ideas are going to be the quotient law of exponents, because we have a fraction, and also on top of that, power of a power law of exponents. So if you can tell right here, we have our terms here, and then we have it raised to the third power. So we have a mixture between these concepts, these ideas, and obviously we have a negative exponent there too. So we got a lot going on. So again, if you haven't watched those previous videos, make sure to do that. We have worksheets going through each individual law of exponents. That way, when you tackle things like this, you can follow along and see exactly what I mean as we go through it. So again, go back in there, and if you're in the course or program, make sure to go through those worksheets, speed drills. That way you can maintain that confidence every single time you practice. Here we go. So checking this problem out, just like I said in the previous video when we were going over, I believe it was power of a power and product. Now here, really it's just going to be taking it one step at a time, as always. So here we go. What do I notice? Just take a look, take a gander, and I see here, if I zoom in a little bit, I see that we have, hey, vu to the ninth, all of that to the third power. And on top of that, I see we got ourselves a negative exponent right here with the v. So two things I'm going to have to take care of so I can simplify this a little easier, but it doesn't seem to be crazy. So let's get started here. What I'm going to do first is I'm going to take care of that exponent right here, that 3. I'm going to take care of that. So in doing so, remember, what you're going to do is simply put, you are going to essentially distribute the exponent. So here, this 3 will go with the u and with the 9. Remember, if you don't see an exponent, the exponent is 1. And the power to a power law says multiply the exponents. So here, that's just a 1 times 3. So that'll just be v to the power of 3. So let's rewrite everything first of all. As always, my ASVAB party people, thank you for watching this video. Before we continue, just wanted to remind you that if you're struggling with the ASVAB, if you struggle with test anxiety, blanking out on problems, then you need to consider the ASVAB All-Access Program. Thousands of my students have tried it out, and they have always raised their scores if they use it the right way. Because there's always a way to learn for whatever method you like best. From recorded lessons, to live classes, to guided practice videos, to printable worksheets, to speed drills to help you test and raise your confidence and speed, to casual practice that comes with video solutions. Every single way that you can think of, over 10,000 questions, all of it lined up for you, ready for you to get started right now. So at the very least, check out the link in the description so you can see exactly how it works and why, again, over 1,000 of my students have raised their scores with it all the way through. I'm proud of you. Let's keep working hard, and let's get back to the video. But don't forget, check out that program. I think you'll like it. And then over here in the bottom, we're going to have ourselves v to the power of 3, and then that u, again, multiply those powers. 9 times 3, that'll be 27. So right there. So okay. So we did our first step, but we still have a negative exponent up top. And also, we need to go ahead and simplify in terms of, hey, we have a u up top, u on bottom. Something's got to cancel. V and v. But let's go ahead and perform our technique here. Remember, when we have negative exponents, we can switch it between the numerator and denominator to make it positive. Go back to my negative exponents video. That way you can learn why that is the case. I'm not going to explain all of it here because there's too much to refresh on. That's why we have that series of videos lined up for you. So let's go ahead and get into it here. I see that we have ourselves v to the power of negative 1. And again, you can simply make it a positive 1 by throwing it into the denominator. So in doing that, let's just go ahead and get it done here. We're going to have ourselves still u up top. We still have that v cubed u to the power of 27 in the denominator. But now we're going to have an extra v in the denominator that we moved from the numerator. Cool. And again, the reason we don't see that exponent is because it is a 1 if you don't see anything at all. All right, so with that said, let's keep it going here. So I see that we're going to have ourselves v cubed and v being combined right here and right there. So that'll end up being v to the power of 4 because the product power, the product law of exponents, you're going to be going ahead and adding those exponents when you're multiplying powers with the same base. So v to the power of 4, right there, that's where that belongs. And then from there, when we check out the numerator and denominator here, what do you notice? Well, we're going to be applying that quotient law. the quotient law states, hey, just take the difference and then leave whatever's left where there were the bigger exponent, where the bigger exponent was. And so we have one of those u's up here, 27 of them down here. What's going to happen is one is going to cancel on top and the bottom, leaving you with 26 in the denominator. So those combined will give you u to the power of 26 in the denominator, and we're going to leave a 1 up top. Because if you think about it, there's always a 1 in front of a variable if there is no other number there. So yeah, there's a 1 there, we're good, and we're done. 1 over v to the power of 4, u to the power of 26. And where do we have this? Right here in answer choice A. All right, so we're not done yet because we have so many different unique types, but what we're blending again in this video is going to be the quotient law, negatives, and also power of a power law. So let's go ahead and go over to number 52, and let's see if this is any different. Okay, so we see our answer choices. You can pause the video if you want to try it out, but what I'm going to do is jump right in here. So what I notice is I can immediately take care of that parentheses, in terms of the power of a power, but what I should realize is that we have ourselves a power of 0. Whenever you have a power of 0, remember, anything to the power of 0 is 1. So that's just going to cancel out. And we can rewrite this before we continue. We can rewrite this as 2u squared v9. Then in the denominator, we have u to the power of 6 squared. So essentially that v to the power of 0, anything to the power of 0, reduces to 1. So with that said, moving forward now, I'm going to take care of business here in terms of the power of a power law. We have an exponent raised to another exponent, and what's going to happen here is we're going to multiply those powers. So what we'll have now is the same thing, 2u squared v to the power of 9, and the denominator will now be u to the power of 6 times 2. 6 times 2, that's going to be 12, and we can keep going now. So from here, what else do we have left? Well, what I notice is that we have u squared, u to the power of 12. We can apply the quotient law now. In applying the quotient law, remember that you're taking the difference, then the remainder is going to stay, whether it's the top or the bottom, it's going to stay where you had the larger exponent. So with that said, it's going to stay down here for sure. You got 2 up top, 12 on bottom. 2 cancels out from the top and the bottom, leaving you with 10 in the denominator. And so with that, booyah, my math party people, we have 2v to the power of 9, and in the denominator, we'll have ourselves u to the power of 10. And there it is. So we have 2v to the power of 9, u to the power of 10 in the denominator. Answer choice C is correct. Let's keep it going here. We got plenty more examples to go, my party people. Let's go. Let's check this one out here. 53. I'll let you take a look at the answer choices. Take a pause real quick, try it out, and let's go ahead and get into it here. So 53, my party people. Let's go. Let me zoom in. I immediately notice that we have a power to a power right here. Also, I notice we have a y to the power of negative 7. I can move that to the top to make that a positive 7 by using that negative power law of exponents. So with that said, from there, once I do this here, it looks like we'll have a quotient law. And notice how I'm kind of analyzing before I do. You always want to keep a cool head because if not, you're prone to making mistakes, flat out. So here we go. Let's take care of business. First thing I'm going to take care of again, let's take care of that parentheses. So we'll have a power to a power. So we'll have x to the power of 9 times 5, and that'll be x to the power of 45. Nice and easy so far. And my ASVAB party people, just like this free video that you're watching, I have more free materials for you, and there's no excuse for you not to get them. I have a free practice test that comes with video solutions so you can learn from every single mistake. And on top of that, I have a free class on Zoom once a week, every single week for 2 hours. So imagine that. You got more free materials than just this YouTube video right over here. Let's keep pushing forward. Sign up right now, and I'll see you in the next class. Let's get started. Another thing that I can immediately do, again, with practice, you'll be able to do more than one thing at a time. But one thing I can also take care of is the y to the power of negative 7. I can actually move that to the numerator, again, applying that negative powers law. So that'll be y to the power of 7 up top. In the denominator, we still have that 2x squared. But now notice that we can apply the quotient power, or the quotient law, excuse me, I keep saying power, but the quotient law of exponents. And now we have x to the power of 45 over x to the power of 2. 45 minus 2, the difference is 43, leaving you with 43 up top because you have more up top than you have on bottom. And so therefore your answer will be 2x to the power of 43, y to the power of 7, the 2 belongs in the denominator. Just like that. And so there it is. Again, with practice, we'll definitely get there. Again, you just saw me almost make a mistake. Things can happen. But talking through it and being able to explain why you're taking certain steps, that is way too important in terms of your success. So with that, my math party people, we got this over here, and our answer will be C. Next up, let's try 54 out. Let's go and try this one out here. Let's keep it going. I'll let you take a look, take a pause, and let's go. So if you couldn't tell, I'm really happy about this video because, again, this is mixing in all those topics together. And if you can get this done with confidence, all these types here, you're good when it comes to law of exponents. You're absolutely fine. You're not going to see anything much harder than what you're seeing here. So with that, let's go ahead and get into it here. What do we have? First off, I'm going to take care of my power of power laws. That 7 is going to distribute to the 9 and the 3. So remember, we multiply those exponents to get that done. So we still have 2yx to the power of 5 up top. In the denominator, we now have here x to the power of 63, because 9 times 7 is 63. And then we have y to the power of 21. 3 times 7, 21. Sweet. What do we notice now? Well, what we notice now is that, we've got some work to do in terms of quotient law of exponents. So here, I see clearly that we have x to the power of 5, x to the power of 63. Remember, just because the y is first up here and the x is first down here doesn't mean you mix these two. You mix the same bases. We have to make sure we are applying it to the same base. So we have 5 up top, 63 in the denominator. And what happens here is, you'll have that 2 up top, whatever. But then in the denominator, you'll subtract 63 minus 5, which is 58. But you'll have x to the power of 58 in the denominator. Next up, and lastly, if you take a look at the y's, we have y over y to the power of 21. Well, the difference between 21 and 1 is going to be 20. And you'll leave that 20 in the denominator because, again, the denominator has the larger exponent. And so with that, in green, y to the power of 20. So essentially we have 2 over x to the power of 58, y to the power of 20, and that seems to be answer choice D right there. So hopefully this isn't too terrible for you. Hopefully this isn't terrible for you. Let's go ahead and check out number 55 and, again, continue getting the job done. So my recommendation, when you see something like this, where it's the entire fraction being taken to a power, simplify everything inside the parentheses as best you can. Then apply that exponent outside of the parentheses. Because, again, if you have a simplified version, your answer, your result, will be simplified already. But if not, then you're going to have to work with bigger numbers, and you don't exactly want that all the time. So let's go ahead and dive in. Let's zoom in here. Hopefully you took a pause already. And let's see what we got here. So what we have is, I'm going to take care of what's inside the parentheses first. So I'm leaving that power of 3 up there. So what can I do? Well, what I can do is first I can take that a to the power of -1 and make it an a to the power of +1 in the denominator. On top of that, I notice that I have a b to the power of -7 that I can move to the numerator. So I still have that 2 up top. I can write that b to the power of +7 now, but I still have that b to the power of 8. And so what that means is I can apply my what? Product law of exponents. And so here, b to the power of 8 and b to the power of 7 being multiplied will go ahead and give us what? Well, that'll give us 2b to the power of, again, you add those exponents when you're multiplying the powers. Booyah there. And then in the denominator, we still have that a. And it's all being taken to the power of 3. Okay, so we're almost done here. Because the last thing we need to do is really just apply that power of a power law of exponents, which means, hey, this 3 is going to go ahead and be applied to this exponent on the 2, the 15 for the b, and that 1 for the a. Remember, if you don't see an exponent listed, it is always 1. And so, when you use the power of a power, if you don't see an exponent there, you know the 1 times whatever the exponent is whatever the exponent is. So here it's a 3, so all we're going to do is replace, right over here, the 2 will have a power of 3, the b will have a power of 15 times 3, and then a to the power of 3. And so let's go ahead and just do a little bit of math, and we are good. So my last step here will be this. We'll go ahead and say, hey, 2 to the power of 3, that's going to be 2 times 2 times 2, and that's going to be 8. 15 times 3 will be 45, so we have b to the power of 45, and then a cubed is just a cubed. And if you could see behind my big old head, there's the answer right here. And so we have d as the answer, 8b to the power of 45 over a cubed. And we're right. That's it. We're set. I want to do one more for us, my math party people, and then we are moving forward. Let me see if I can find something a little more unique. Well, this is a 2-second problem if I've ever seen one. It's because what we have here, everybody, is a fraction taken to the power of 0. The answer is 1. The answer is 1. That one's a straight up no-brainer in terms of if you know your rules, you see it and you're good. Next up, let's see if we can find something a little more interesting. Okay, let's try 60. I'll let you take a quick little pause to go ahead and look at the answer choices. And let's go. So here we go. Number 60. Over here, honestly, again, just take care of the inside of the parentheses. So I'm going to go ahead and just keep that grouping there. And then we have to the power of 7. Now, what do I notice? Immediately I notice that 2's get canceled out. The 2's are going to get canceled out immediately. And before we continue, my math party people, really quick before we continue, I know that you're enjoying this video, and I want to make sure that more people can enjoy these videos just like you. So if you wouldn't mind, just take a quick second, like this video, comment on it, just showing some appreciation, showing what you learned, and then make sure you're subscribed to the channel so that way when we come out with new videos, typically every day, you can be right there on the spot to catch on to them. So help us help others ace the ASVAB. I'm Anderson. Let's keep going here. And then from there, I also noticed that we have negatives on the m here and the m there. So that can seem a little confusing, but remember, to make those exponents positive, to make it a little easier to see, just go ahead and swap them out. Because that's going to give me m to the power of positive 1 up top, m to the power of positive 10 on the bottom. Because again, you move them between the numerator and denominator to change the sign of the exponent. Lastly, we have n squared that stays exactly where it is, right there. So what are we going to have now? Well, really, all that's left, my math party people, is to understand that we're going to apply the quotient law of exponents here. The difference between 10 and 1 is 9, and we'll keep it in the denominator because, again, we have a higher exponent in the denominator for that base of m. So booyah, we're good, we're having a good time. And so what's going to happen now is we have 1 over m to the power of 9, n to the power of 2, in a parentheses, to the power of 7. So now that it's simplified, the application of the power of power laws is going to be very straightforward. Very straightforward. So we're going to apply that 7, that exponent, here, here, and here. It's a little redundant to say for the 1 because 1 to any power is still going to be 1. 1 squared is 1 times 1, that's 1. 1 cubed, 1 times 1 times 1, still 1. So we don't have to worry about that. That's going to stay 1. We are good. And then from there, m to the power of 9, and then 9 times 7, that's going to be m to the power of 63. And then n squared to the 7th power will be n to the power of 14. So there's our answer there, and we see our answer here in answer choice A, and we're set. And so, my math party people, again, I really hope that you got a lot out of this, because at the end of the day, really what's important is, can we feel confident and understand what we're doing, and be able to explain what we're doing quickly, confidently, effectively? If so, then we're doing a great job, and I want to see you tackle the speed drill up next. If you're in the program or in the course, it's right after this one. I want to see you get in there, practice this all the way until you don't have to think about it anymore, and then keep moving forward, crushing every single concept. If you have any questions, you know how to reach me. Find my number, text me, let me know how things are going, and I'll see you in the next video where we're going to keep going with Law of Exponents, applying different rules. And so we both know this video just helped you with your test anxiety by just a little bit. And to keep lowering your test anxiety and keep raising your confidence, that's what my ASVAB All-Access Program is for. The link's right up here. Click it, watch the video on how it works, and you'll see exactly why thousands of my students have raised their scores and gotten the jobs they want. So click there, watch the video, and sign up to raise your score. I'll see you soon.